Hello, my name is Francisco Cobo, and I am the president of the EDA. On behalf of the association, we would like to thank all the attendees for your time and the participation, hoping that the webinar will be useful. I would also like to thank the speakers for their time and dedication. Please know that during the session, only the speakers will be able to activate their camera and microphone. As attendees, you can participate and ask your question via chat. All EDA sessions will be recorded and later edited and online publication. Before giving way to the speakers, I would like to introduce EDA in case any of you don't know us. The European Demolition Association, EDA, is a non-profit organization bringing together the activities of demolition, decontamination, and recycling. The association has a strong focus on providing an international union with the cooperation of trade associations. EDA welcomes the following stakeholders of the industry as its members: national associations or federations, specialized contract from countries with and without a specialized association or federation, engineering or consulting companies working in demolition, decontamination, or recycling, and specialized DDR suppliers, manufacturers, dealers, etc. EDA carries out multiple activities related to the DDR industry to disseminate information of interest to all professionals. For this purpose, the association prepares many initiatives to share industry knowledge with stakeholders and other entities linked to this industry. This is the case of publications that promote the DDR industry, such as the EDA Yearbook, the EDA Industry Report, the Guides on Attachments, Carrier, End-of-Life for Industrial Facilities. These publications are available in physical and digital format, which facilitates the diffusion and promotes the professionalization of the industry. EDA also works on audiovisual contents available in the EDA YouTube channel. Here, you can find videos about the industry, events, and interviews to our members. Every year, EDA organizes some activities and events to get together the DDR industry from all over Europe to provide opportunities for networking and to share knowledge, convention, workshops, study tours, trade fairs. EDA gives importance to the dissemination of the activities and services developed by EDA members by implementing a series of educational initiatives. For instance, webinars are short and educational sessions hosted online and broadcast live. The webinars will be given in English. All the webinars are being recorded to be published later on the private area of the EDA website, available for members and subscribers. All these contents and many more are available in the EDA website for those who have a membership or a subscription. You can check out the subscription model in www.europeandemolition.org/private. If your activity is related to DDR and you are interested in learning more about this industry, growing your business, and sharing experience with the most relevant companies and associations worldwide, you can contact us and we'll be happy to help you. If you need more information, please do not hesitate to contact us through the contact information on the screen. Thanks again, and we hope you enjoy the webinar.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Jose Blanco. I'm the Secretary General from the European Demolition Association. We just heard a message that was recorded from our president, Mr. Francisco Cobo. And now we're going to start with this webinar. And to prove it is live, we have some technical difficulties with our first speaker. Alfonso, can you hear us? Are you there, Alfonso? I believe he cannot. Okay, can we try your microphone? Oh, sorry, it's not working. It's not working. So we're gonna, well, Alfonso is here if you wanna say hello and to prove that Alfonso was here. And we have a plan B that we developed on the rehearsal before. So thank you, Alfonso. Sorry about that. We're gonna ask our colleague Peter from VTT. There you are, Peter. Can you hear us?
Hello, I hope my microphone is working today.
Perfect. So we're going to improvise because you were also partnered with Alfonso on what he was about to present. So even if it is a little bit shorter, and if you don't mind, if you can tell a little bit about the work that you did together, VTT and TECNALIA. So I leave it to you, and so you can go through the presentation. And even if it is briefly, we apologize to our audience, but we are live, and this kind of things happen. So without further ado, Peter, if you want to introduce yourself, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jose. My name is Peter Hradil. I am from VTT Technical Research Center of Finland, and I was also involved in the work that is going to be presented here. So I hope it will be okay for all of you to hear the presentation from me today. I apologize if there will be some maybe pauses in my explanations because I was not preparing this presentation, but I think it will be okay. So this presentation is about the document that we have prepared together with TECNALIA for the European Commission, which is called EU Construction Demolition Waste, Guidelines for the Waste Audits Before Demolition and Renovation Works of Buildings. This is the right one from the two documents presented here. And it was coming actually after this EU Construction Demolition Waste Management Protocol. It is one of the action points from the Circular Economic Package from 2015, and it was published in 2018, this document. So the scope of the document was actually about the waste audits or material audits before demolition or renovation of buildings and infrastructures. It was aimed to support permit applications and the decision of the authorities to approve the demolition and renovation works. And in the document, we are describing the whole process, providing templates, and also it is part of the larger report, which is showing the overview of the auditing practices in Europe. But in the guidelines, you can see, for example, that the process is divided into the following steps: desk study, site visit, inventory of the materials, management recommendations, and reporting. The whole thing has to be covered by some quality assurance measures, which I will be talking later about. And let's have a look in the desk study. So in the desk study, it is usually recommended that you are collecting all the available information as much as possible from the authorities and also from the facility owner. Among the most important information is the age of the building. It might be that there are different rules for example, for asbestos removal, depending on the age of the building. Then the design documentation is also very important, and then all the records that can be obtained about different renovation works and alterations of the building. This study is then followed by the site visit that can be really planned differently depending on the type of the building or the construction work that is going to be audited. But typically the documentation, this collected study documentation is completed with photos and different sketches, and also samples can be taken for laboratory testing. So the attention should be paid also to hazardous materials here. So the basic output is the inventory of materials and building elements that will be then recovered or otherwise processed. In terms of waste we don't always talk about waste. For example, if you have elements, we would like to keep them as products, and then we talk about the waste prevention. So this is also very important to map those kind of components and products that will be then used again and will not be managed as a waste. The flow chart on the right side is showing actually the order of priorities and decisions about the elements and materials, and then their management. And the responsibilities of the waste holder, auditor, and waste producer. Yeah. So the guidelines is providing a simple template for reporting of the audit, but in many countries this is already established practice, and the templates exist nationally. So this is just a template to let you know what kind of actually information should be reported and is recommended. Including material identification, waste code, location, quantity, units, and then optionally the recovery recommendations for recycling, energy use, or reuse. So the waste management options are recommended. They are voluntary, but of course in different countries or regions this could be also subjected to some regulations. So you have to always look at your own home practices and documents. When we look at the traceability, traceability is actually one of two parts of the quality management in the whole process. One is traceability, and the second one is the qualification of the auditors, some certification or having independent auditors is recommended, and one of these two should be always present in the audit. Ideally, it would be both, like established traceability system and certification or independent auditors. So you can read here, for example, that the important point in the traceability is the last one, that you will be able to see the deviations between the predicted and real material outcomes, and then you can, if there are some big deviations, you can authorities can ask for a justification of why it was not as much as predicted. So this could be one way to avoid some misuse of the materials. The other pillar of the quality management is the training and certification of auditors. In some countries, you already need to have independent third-party auditor. So it is required to have a skilled personnel with adequate education, knowledge of the building practices and materials used, yeah, the ethics code and professional liability are also important points here. So the last point of the whole process is reporting. Here, reporting is really about reporting of materials, their quantities, locations, hazardousness, and possible management of those materials. So you can imagine that this is not the whole demolition plan. It is just part of it, but this waste audit report is really mostly a table of materials with the recommendations, what to do with them. We are recommending some classification of the level of data, reporting basic, intermediate, or detailed data with all the European waste catalog codes. So in the inventory, and here is again a short paragraph about waste management recommendations and quality assessment. That is mandatory to have at least one of those comprehensive information on the auditor and traceability measures. So yeah, sorry again for the technical difficulties. I hope that I was able at least to present the main core of the message that was in this presentation, and the next presenter will be Margareta Wallström from VTT. Am I right?
Yes, it is Margareta, but I wanted to thank you once again, and just to our audience, to give a high point to Peter, because he did the presentation, and even though he was not the speaker, so thank you very much. And now, without further ado, also from Finland, Margareta, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Jose. So my name is Margareta Wallström. I'm a senior scientist at VTT, a colleague of Peter, and thank you for the invitations to tell about the PARADE project. So, and one sentence of myself, I'm currently involved in numerous projects related to construction and demolition waste and circular economy, mainly on focusing on the operational environment and the policy instruments to promote circular economy solutions. As you probably understood from the previous presentation, the topic on waste audit guidance, pre-demolition guidance, was very broad, and we understood that there is a need for more information, more specific information, and therefore a project focusing on educational materials was started in 2018. It was financed by AET Raw Materials, and the project was supported by a reference group. Among these, EDA was participating. The name of the project was Best Practice for Pre-Demolition Audits, Ensuring High Quality Raw Materials. The target group for education materials was professionals and also students in university or applied universities. The project lasted 2 years. In the first year, we made a questionnaire about the needs among different stakeholders in order to be able to focus our work correctly. The work was carried out by 5 partners in 3 countries. We had very different background and competence, so we were really complementary to each other. The end product was a package of a guidance document package, including several different documents. We decided to make a brochure that was meant for all stakeholders in an easily form to explain the main elements and the purpose of the pre-demolition audits. Then we also had more specific documents. The first was an overall guidance document, which was deeper, a follow-up of DG Growth study. And here we are more in depth explaining different phases of the pre-demolition audit. We made also a document on hazardous materials in construction with the purpose to how to identify hazardous materials to be removed in demolition work. And a special document was also about recycling potential of constructions, to focusing on commercially available technologies for how to recover materials in new applications. And we also wanted to have a document on good practices. This is a complementary document to the waste management protocol that was earlier published, also containing good examples. Beside this guidance document packages, we also made course materials for universities. The second year we tested our documents, or we carried out several webinars, a seminar, and started also to have courses in two universities. And these courses are still running and using the materials that has been developed. I will just raise up a few of the documents, and one is about the hazardous materials in construction. Today, construction products are designed to be safe, but 20-30 years ago, materials were used that we now are aware about that are dangerous for environment and to human health. And up to now, very much focus has been on asbestos, but due to increasing knowledge, we also see that there are other materials to be identified and potentially removed before demolition. I have also to say that these materials has been added to in the construction products to give the material a certain functionality. Here it's very crucial both to understand where to find the materials and how to measure them, and in order to make the decision, do we need to remove them. When demolition is carried out, it's important to have information about the next step. What are the requirements on the materials to be recovered? What kind of impurities can be part of the materials? And what are the other technical requirements? And the document focused on the mainstreams: concrete, wood, plastics, steels, etc., and listed the standards and examples of main applications. And then we also saw that it is good to cover examples from the different stages of the life cycle to present how important the information is when carrying out the pre-demolition audits. In the project, we learned several issues, and one of them, I will just lift up the two or three of them, is that we think that the training of pre-demolition orders must be given on national language, and we also think that there is a need for national guidance, because constructions are different way of using materials, different type of legislation. We also think that in future more and more focus will be on reuse of materials, and this will give new needs for information, especially also the traceability and the CE marking of construction and demolition waste and products. And here the traceability will probably be something, and digitalization something we will learn more about in future. And then I just wanted to show that all the materials that I have mentioned can be found from the PARADE website. From the link here is also the course materials, and I also would like to mention that there is a sister project going on named Sister Loops, where guidance has been developed and probably will be soon available for all. thank you for your attention. And now I will give over to Peter.
Okay, thank you. Here is my planned presentation, and since Margareta already said that the next step, actually, after having this European guidance and the education material is starting implementing them in the national level or some more specific level, we have to also mention that we have developed the particular pre-demolition audit guidance for Finland, but this is not what I'm going to present now. We had a project after PARADE project that is actually dedicated to a specific industry. So this is about the pre-demolition audits of constructional steelwork, what I'm going to talk about now. So the project was called Progress, Provisions for a Greater Reuse of Steel Structures. And you know, steel construction is very well recycled, and also it is very well designed and constructed in such a way that it can be reused. So the pre-demolition audit has some interesting parts now concerning reusability of constructional products, which could be in the future extended to other materials, because I think this is really the future of all building construction, to have dismountable and reusable construction. And therefore we have produced many reports, but some of those interesting for today webinar are this pre-deconstruction audit protocol, the construction protocol for single-story steel frame buildings, and quality verification protocols. You have also a link here that you can download those documents and our final report and other materials from the project. So I will just go forward. What you can actually find in this specific industry protocol, you can find of course, template for reporting. That's something that's is expected to be there. Then many checklists. So this is just one example of checklists that you could have what to do in each stage, in the desk study, in preliminary assessment, in the site visit, in testing and everything. And also specifically for the steel, classification in 3 categories. Depending on how much do you need to test it before it can be reused. So class A is the steel that has a CE marking, and you know all the information from the certification. You don't need to really test it so much. Class B is steel that you want to obtain a CE marking on it, but you don't have it, so you have to really test it, and it is going to be quite expensive, but in some cases it is useful to do it. And class C is a steel that can be reused without CE marking with some very safe assumptions. So if you don't know the material properties and you know that the steel was produced in Europe after 1970s, that you can be pretty sure that constructional steel, for example, is at least 235 megapascal strong. So these kind of assumptions you can use, but of course, some national and local rules can prevent you to do it. So this is also recommended to look at those. So these are the things that you can find in the pre-demolition audit. We have mapped many of the use cases all over the Europe that were done before our project. So they were not done with our protocol, but they were successfully reused and traded and constructed again. So you can find on the project webpage all of them and read very interesting stories behind them. So I'm not going to use my time here more, but one of the case study we did directly in the project, the original plan was to first develop the audit protocol and then test it on this study. But you probably know the best how difficult it is to plan a particular demolition, to take time in the scheduling of the project. So we were actually happy to have a good project even before we finished our audit. And it was good anyway that we were able to do the construction and reusing. And then based on this experience, we actually finalized the auditing protocol. But here you can see that we were using some interesting technologies. We were using photogrammetric drones, or one drone actually, to create a 3D picture of the building, to help us estimating the volumes and quantities of materials, and also to see the parts of the building that are not normally accessible from the ground. And then another interesting thing is that actually the demolition company involved in our project from Germany, I forgot to put the logo here, so I can at least tell their name. It is Paul Kamrat. They were using traditional demolition equipment for the construction, which is not usually done. Normally, you would invite a construction company with all these man lifts and experiences, but you can see that even traditional demolition companies can do the same job efficiently with their own equipment. So, okay, thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, we can talk about it in the last part of this webinar. So, who is the next presenter? Yeah.
Perfect. It's going to be David. Perfect. So there you go, David. If you introduce yourself.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for inviting us to participate in this event. My name is David Garcia. I work in TECNALIA, which is a research center in the north of Spain. I work as a senior researcher and project manager, and today I would like to share with you some ideas about the digitalization in the pre-demolition audits and in the circularity of the building materials in general. So, yes. Well, you know that nowadays digitalization is part of our lives, is in all our daily activities. But construction, together with healthcare, is perhaps the less digitalized sector. So there are still some technologies that are being used, not in the future because they are already used for data acquisition. For example, here and using this the reference that is in the slide, we know that more sensors are being implemented at manufacturing in the life stage of lots of elements, also combined with the Internet of Things. For reality capture of the geometry of the existing buildings, as Pet has already mentioned, we can use some 3D scanning techniques using fixed or portable scanners, using scanners integrated with robots or with drones, etc. There are also some improvements regarding the automatization of the processes using robotics. And this is especially interesting for construction, but also for demolition activities. Nowadays, there are more and more equipments available in the market that integrate different sensors and can work in a semi-automatic mode. We have also 3D printing, which is also one of the hot topics in construction, especially regarding concrete and polymers 3D printing. And finally, regarding the relevance, the importance of the data, the digital information and analysis. Here, perhaps the most popular word in our field is the BIM, the Building Information Modeling. But for these models, we are integrating not only the information of the geometry, but also we put some semantic information there, so we can use that information to take better decisions. We have also the virtual and the augmented reality. This is a technology that is already being used in the construction sector, for example, in training or in learning about new equipments with less risk for our workers. Everything in combination with artificial intelligence, of course. This is a brief view of the digitalization in the construction sector, but if we go into the details about the methods and the tools we are using at demolition, at pre-demolition activities, please don't feel accused, because this is just a general perspective, taking into account some feedback from our partners and our customers. We feel that there is still a long distance to run. For example, regarding the on-site survey and the visual inspection, still this is an activity that is being reported with the support of some digital information like photographs, etc., but is still mainly made by hand. Also, the measurement in some cases is made using laser distance meters, but there are other tools in the market that can accelerate that geometry capture. The sketching and the drafting of the drawings is made in many times is made by hand, and in other cases is made using CAD software. But since we are talking about a building that will be demolished in the next weeks, only in a very few cases we go to BIM methodology capabilities. Also, the labeling of certain elements, hazardous or elements that will be reused or will be reallocated in different buildings on a different part of the building, is made by hand. When we try to get an estimation, a forecast about the cost, the generation of construction and demolition waste, or what will be the environmental impacts, we are still using some traditional methods, taking into account the generation rates based on preliminary projects. And at the end, the conclusion of this is that at the end we don't have a good traceability between the initial survey, the initial inspection, the materials, the elements that were identified in the building, and the waste that is obtained after the demolition. So for sure, there is a lot of opportunities to improve here. Perhaps the most immediate technology will be the 3D scanning or laser scanning, using a laser light to measure the distance from the reader device to any object. We can get very accurate information about the surfaces, the internal and external surfaces of a building. This information is called point clouds. Once we are able to integrate and to manage those point clouds, we can define the elements that are inside the building, and we can have an enough good BIM model that can be used to take decisions about how to proceed with the demolition. There are already several devices available in the market, depending on the accuracy and also in the cost. Here we have put some of those criteria that can be considered when we decide to use one of those technologies. At this moment, I'm being honest, these devices are used mainly for capture the geometry. They incorporate also some color cameras, so they can identify those colors and they can try to recognize some material, but the identification of the materials is still a pending issue. We can use artificial intelligence and other visual sensors for trying to identify them, but it's still under development. And at the end, it's worth to say that this is always a matter of balance between what are the expectations, what are the necessities, and what are the reality. At the end, with one of those devices, we can get some information, but after that, we need to manage that information in order to be sure that the information is valuable and is okay for our purposes. Just to give you a rough number, at this moment we have devices in the market that are able to scan surfaces. For example, like in this example where we use this scanner to to scan the surfaces of some premises in our facilities, and we were able to scan almost 200 square meters in 1 minute. So the time reduction is very significant from the devices existing some years ago. So I take this opportunity to encourage you to check what are the capabilities of the devices existing in the market. Okay, I have to be brief, but I will mention now some of the solutions we are proposing in a European project. The name of this project is ICEBERG. It's a quite large project. We are almost at the end of the second year, and it contains several technologies that can be classified in three different parts. The first one is related to smart services and software to support pre-demolition activities and also traceability during the demolition and before and after the demolition. So I will focus the rest of the presentation showing some of the results we are obtaining in this first part of the project. If you are interested in the project and you want to receive more information, please check the website and feel free to contact me. Okay, the first solution we are developing for pre-demolition audits is a BIM building information model based tool for quick modeling and demolition planning. We know that in the market there are some commercial softwares that are aimed to model buildings for design, construction, and maintenance purposes. They are okay, they are absolutely okay, but sometimes the time and the effort necessary for modeling one building that will be demolished in a few days, in a few weeks, makes it unaffordable, and the demolition contractors thinks that is not a valid solution for them. So we are developing a tool that consists in a configurator in which we can use an existing point clouds 2D drawing or a very basic CAD file to generate a simplified model of the building, inventory the main elements there. We can inventory all the vertical elements very quickly, and we can add additional elements in a very easy way. So when all the elements have been inventoried, we can use the same model for planning the building. That means that we will be able to categorize the elements, define the different groups, the different demolition operations that will be performed, the different alternatives and processes. Depending on the selectivity level, we can decide how selectively we will release the different materials for the building. And depending on those decisions, here, I don't know if you can see it, but in this box, we will select the processes. We can also indicate the equipment, the tools, the human resources that will be necessary for that specific activity. Depending on this data, we will obtain different results, more segregated or more mixed waste streams. So this is something that can be used by the demolition contractors to plan the demolition projects and to generate different demolition alternatives. When all this information is in the tool, we can also generate some accurate estimations about the environmental impacts, for example, obtaining data in equivalent CO2 or the energy consumption, also getting a very visual representation of the 4-dimension of the demolition project, and also the Gantt chart of the demolition activity, etc. Another technology will be the use of RFID tags for identification of certain elements. We have already validated some types of tags to be installed in certain elements, especially in reusable elements, to increase the identification and the guarantee that is the element we are talking about. And we are even demonstrating that those RFID tags can be used for trace and tracking recycled materials like recycled concrete aggregates. And finally, and to conclude my presentation here, we are also developing a cloud traceability platform using blockchain technology, which is also relevant to ensure and to increase the trustability of those platforms and the information that is related with pre-demolition and demolition activities. The idea is to get a better connection from the from the initial calculation with the identification of those materials with the resulting waste streams, and with the final objective of increasing the market acceptability of the resulting recycled materials and secondary raw materials. Sorry for explaining it so fast, but time is limited. So if you are interested on those three technologies of the rest of activities that we are developing in ICEBERG, please go to our website or feel free to contact us. And this is all today from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. Yes.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Now it's time for Miguel. If you can connect your camera, Miguel, are you there? There you go.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Jose. Good afternoon to everybody. Well, I'm Miguel Mateos. I work also in TECNALIA, and I'm in charge of the evaluation and assessment of innovative construction products. We have already seen that one of the main objectives of this demolition and the construction activities should be the reintroduction of the demolition waste again into the raw material flow, even the reuse of some elements. One of the possibilities is that this demolition waste ends up as a constituent of a new construction product. This kind of products could be rejected by the market because they doubt of the performance of this product containing waste, and this is a barrier to get into the market. We know, and this is a barrier that exists that also applies to innovative products. So the process to overcome these barriers could be the same that we apply to innovative products, because the construction product regulation, the CPR, allows a way for CE mark this kind of innovative products. Those products that deviates from the standard, the harmonized standard, such as in the case of demolition waste or product reuse products. This is known as the ETA route, the European Technical Assessment route. This is a voluntary process. This process will be tailor-made and will start only if there is a request from a manufacturer. The European assessment document, the document equivalent to the harmonized standard, and that is developed as to be the basis of the assessment, will take into account the peculiarities, the difference of the new product, and this is very important. It will be drafted in a performance approach. We will focus more on performance than maybe on component or maybe on composition. This allows us to check if to focus on whether the product works properly or not, more than than in other aspects like the composition. That we are not going to limit these aspects. This route has some advantages, but mainly are the same advantages as the CE marking offers. That is the free that allows putting into the European market the product. No? The CE mark allows putting the product into the CE market throughout the European Union. Also, the assessment, as the assessment is carried out at an European level, the assessment is carried out at within EOTA. The EOTA is the organization that where the main construction institutes of Europe work together developing assessment documents, and the assessment is also carried out with harmonized standard and with harmonized test methods, and also it's carried out by a third party. So it generates confidence in the declared performance of the product. How do we take into account the use of demolition waste in this assessment? Well, the first step is the same. No matter if it is a innovative product or a product with demolition waste. The first step is to carry out a deep analysis of the essential characteristics relevant for the construction product, or for this new product, and for its intended use. Probably essential characteristics might differ slightly from the same characteristics from the characteristics relevant for a traditional product. But of course, we have to check other aspects, not only the aspects that were checked with the traditional product. Well, secondly, we define the test method, the test method with which the essential characteristics are to be assessed. And finally, the product, the new product is assessed, is evaluated with these test methods. Of course, the performance has to be in line with that of traditional construction products for the same intended use. It should be noted here that it's not during the data development where the product has to be developed. The data process should serve to confirm the performance that has been achieved in a previous research and development process, a development process that should allow us to know how the variability, the intrinsic variability in the demolition waste affects the final performance of the construction product, of this new construction product. It's also possible to include in the assessment other aspects, such as the presence of dangerous substances. Maybe this presence of dangerous substances is relevant, depending on the origin of the waste. And linked to the variability that of the demolition waste, I will say a cornerstone of the assessment is the control of the raw materials. The control of the raw material will be a part of the mandatory factory production control. CE marking obliges manufacturers to maintain a factory production control, and ETAs are not an exception. The aim is to ensure that the variability of the waste as a raw material is between the margins that we have identified in the development process, and therefore the final product that we obtain will comply with the performance declared in the ETA. And this is where the traceability linked to all this process, the pre-demolition audit, the selective demolition, the selective sorting, and maybe, why not, the certification process of the origin, the certification composition of the waste. Well, these processes are key to ensure the performance of the final product. And finally, and briefly, because we are running out of time, I would like to show you a couple of samples that have been developed within EOTA. The first one is a case with covers recycled clay masonry units that are reused. They are installed and brought to a manufacturing plant where are cleaned, sorted, and controlled. Here, as I mentioned before, traceability is a fundamental part of the production control. There must be a record of the origin, a record of the processes that the units have been subjected, as cleaning, as sorting, and also a record shall be maintained of the characteristic of the units. One of the main problems that justify this European assessment document is the fact that the traceability from the original units, the original bricks, has been lost. So there are some mandatory controls in the factory production control to test, to determine the mechanical characteristics of the reused bricks. And the idea behind this is that if the reused brick fails to achieve similar performance to a new brick, the reused brick will not be put into the market. I'm sorry. And the second example is an additive. It's an additive that partially replaces virgin bitumen in the manufacture of asphalt. The raw material here is a mixture that comes partly from waste from the production plant of new roofing felts, but partly comes from demolition demolition of roofs, and also from waste treatment plants. Once it's ensured that there are not unwanted components in the incoming waste, the felt goes through a shredding and a treatment process, and then is sent to the asphalt plants. Again, here, traceability and control of the composition of the demolition waste is key to ensure the homogeneity of the raw material, so that it does not interfere with the performance, the final performance of the asphalt. Well, it's true that little else that these two examples have been elaborated within EOTA. There are some examples that involve recycle, but they consider waste from another source. In any case, the option to see marking and to benefit from this free access to the European market is there. We need just the request of a manufacturer to set the machinery into motion, and opening new ways to access the market for this kind of product with demolition waste. And thank you everybody for your attention. And Jose, I suppose now the floor is yours.
Very much, Miguel, and thank you to the rest of the speakers. Please do not turn off the camera. I kindly ask all the speakers to turn on the camera again. I'm sorry, we are behind the schedule, way behind the schedule for the Q&A. but we'll do our best. We will try to do some questions. Alfonso, can you hear us? We do not hear you. I can bet that is, I'm just giving a tip to everybody, is Microsoft Teams. Do you have Microsoft Teams somewhere in your computer? Usually captures the microphone. There you go. Sorry about that. So I have nothing against Microsoft. I'm not being paid by Google or anybody else, but we had the experience before. So this is Alfonso, in case somebody doesn't know him. He did participate, but we're going to try to do a little bit of Q&A session with the participants, and to talk a little bit about pre-demolition audits and this kind of documents, these initiatives, these projects, and so on. Before we go, I got to say a compliment. I always say it in public when I can, which is to the European Commission for the work that has been done with the pre-demolition audit guidelines, with the construction and demolition waste management protocol. These documents were, I would say, a little bit complicated to produce, but we got to say that they are very useful to the industry. They bring a lot of light for non-experts. A lot of the demolition contractors will say, we already know what the document says, but for non-experts, they do bring a lot of information. So I know that we have colleagues from the Commission in the audience, and we always like to say this. They do help us a lot. There's a lot more documents coming from the Commission that we invite our audience to check. I'll shut up. Any comments, any remarks from the audience, please use the chat. The first one, I'm going to be very glad to say it, and this one I think is for David and for a few other people, is how do you convince a customer, how do you convince any potential client that is already arguing with the price of the demolition to spend extra time doing a 3D model, doing a slow dismantling of all the different materials and so on, when they actually have no additional market value? How do you, any tips, any advice on the research that you're doing?
Well, first of all, we start with a free trial. Of course, we would like to get more projects, but when we work with a contractor, we do a demonstration, a live demonstration, in which we are able to model an entire building of about 1,000 square meters of built surface in less than a working day. Yeah. So they have that information. Then they can take the decisions, and depending on the market circumstances, because the prices for the fees are different from one region to another, at least they have some information for their numbers, and they can take a better decision.
Well, if I can help you a little bit on this one, it depends a lot on the project. If you're talking about an industrial facility, and just for the audience, we have at the end of the year, not at the end of the year, in October, we will have the traditional EDA think tank in Brussels, and this year is going to be about end of life of industrial facilities. So the technology that you are developing, David, and the team in TECNALIA is extremely useful, because on industrial facilities, you might do this dismantling on different phases. You might remove a cooler and then leave, part of the structure and so on. So it could be very useful to try to understand, the complexity of the building, how to remove the cooler without stopping operations and so on. So we see possible applications for this technology. But in a traditional demolition on let's say a building inside of a city where the whole building is just going to be demolished, there is no critical elements or anything like that, it's going to be difficult to justify, creating a big model and so on. This is my 2 cents. I don't know if somebody from the audience, because I also see a lot of contractors there, have a different opinion. Please feel free to say it on the chat. Also have a question for Peter and Margareta. Because both of you have the experience in Finland, which is Scandinavia, Nordic countries, always very concerned about environmental aspect. Do you find relevant differences when you did the work related with the pre-demolition audit on the PARADE project, on the guidelines for the Commission, between the Nordic countries, Central Europe, and southern part? Did you find any of you? Margareta, Peter.
Margareta, are you speaking?
Yeah, I can start. I would say that yes, there are. I think that the awareness was very high in Belgium, and I think it was due to the prices for getting rid of material. I would not say that we were behind in Finland, but I think it was notable.
And which country did you find to be more advanced or region?
I don't know if I should say advanced, but I think that cost acceptance was much higher in Belgium compared to perhaps into Finland. That you have to pay so much to landfill or to incinerate. You have to pay also in Finland, but I think it was more in Belgium, for example.
Once again, I want to make a remark, is that demolition contractors, by nature, they know how to do audits on whatever is going to be happening there. And we have a lot of internal discussion on demolition contractor, if we should have an external auditor or it should be done by the contractor itself. And because we discussed about this on the seminar in Brussels and when we did the different sessions, is that on one hand, we want external specialists, as long as they are specialists, to go into the building first, to assess what kind of substances are there, what kind of costs are going to arise depending on the techniques and the selective demolition process that is chosen. And we want the customer to be informed about this before the bidding process. But then it's up to the contractor to try to be a bit more refined. Okay, how can I save a little bit on the waste management or generate more value with this material and so on. So we do encourage the work of the audits. And in fact, we are a little bit concerned about one of the findings from the PARADE project was the fact that we need to train auditors. I don't know if either Peter or Margareta, you have done further work on this, on training auditors in any country, or about any experience on this, training auditors for pre-demolition audit?
Would you like Peter to reply?
Or maybe you know better
Yes.
about it.
I think that in Finland there has been extensive training. That I think it's well recognized that there's a need for pre-demolition audit, and I think there are, from our ministry, there are several guidances and there are green deals to promote pre-demolition audits. So I think it's well received in Finland.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Margareta. I think in Finland, ministry is very proactive and creating a lot of support for these activities.
Okay. Thank you.
And but I have to say that we made these course materials, and they are still running these courses in Slovakia and also in Belgium for university courses.
Okay, so that's very good. Oh, and we see more demand for that, so that's a topic to work on. We have a couple of questions for you, David. I don't know if you are seeing them on the Q&A, but I'm just going to ask a couple of them for you. One is coming from the Netherlands, and the question is CE market not too complicated and expensive for construction and demolition waste products, or byproducts, however you want to call it?
Yes, of course. Well, the use of RFIDs as tagging devices, of course, is not something mandatory. We can use other kind of tags, but in a few cases, we have identified that the RFID can be used for generate some links with additional information about that element. So people is not just buying a reusable element, but also some additional information to that. Also, in the case of use RFID for tagging recycled concrete aggregates, the cost of those RFID tags is extremely low. So there is a wide range of prices or wide range of cost. In this project, we have identified what are the minimum requirements at the lowest cost in order to make them economically feasible for those applications.
But we see, I mean, once again, in some cases, we see the use of this kind of devices. But one of the things that you mentioned on your presentation was the possibility, Miguel also mentioned that, the possibility of obtaining CE mark for the byproducts that we get from the waste arising from demolition projects. And the question that we are getting from the audience, isn't that too complicated and too expensive? Does it really make sense? Or should we leave that to the manufacturer of products to integrate that into the value chain again?
It depends on its material, its type of element. We still don't have the general answer, but in some materials that can be reused from one building to another, for example, we feel that it is good to use those tags. Perhaps in elements with low value, like bricks or whatever, it's a nonsense. We don't want to justify the extensive use of electronic tags in the entire elements of the building, but on those specific ones that will be interested to increase its circularity.
Okay, there's another question for you, and I'm going to be, now we're getting more and more questions, but I'm sorry, but we're a little bit behind on time. Not that we have to go anywhere, but we like to stick with the time. There's a couple of more questions for you, David. I'm just going to ask you one of them, which is, and I think this could be relevant also for the iceberg project, is will the BIM tool that you are developing give us some kind of light, some kind of numbers about the costs that if we choose one method, if we choose one option or the other, so we can show to the customer, okay, if you want to do a extreme selective demolition where we remove, piece by piece, this is going to be the cost, or how do you think about this?
Yes, this is one of the objectives, and in fact, we have a functional version of this software which is already considering not only the cost but also the environmental impacts associated to the demolition activities, to the transportation, and the management of the resulting waste. Of course, we are using some very approximately values in our databases, but our intention is to improve the quality of those databases in order to provide good results.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, we're about to close. I'm going to ask you, so sorry, but we are way behind the schedule. So I'm going to ask you for the final remarks. I'm getting also some comments through direct chat that there for certain industries, what I said before about that in some cases, this makes a lot of sense. Like nuclear dismantling, we have colleagues from the nuclear dismantling community that, for them, it's extremely sensitive to have a very good 3D model and BIM information, especially with certain units being dismantled while others are running. You keep the cooling of the reactor while you are dismantling other things. So, there's applications for day-to-day. Maybe they sound a little bit sci-fi, but there's applications for all of this. So final remarks, I will start with Margareta, Peter, and then just follow the order. In my screen is Miguel, David, and Alfonso can wave. So yes. Margareta, final remarks.
I think that this is still an ongoing process. I think we learn more and more by doing. So I think that this is an important thing that we learned is that this pre-demolition audit should be included in university courses already.
Okay, good. Peter, on your side?
Yeah, thank you for nice webinar attendance and program. And I agree with Margareta. It is rolling on. CE marking is the topic that needs to be discussed, but we didn't have too much time today. But maybe next webinar we will return to it more.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Miguel?
Yes, I think there is a long way ahead, and we need to make efforts to CE mark these new products and to put into the market, because I think there is a space for them in the construction sector. So I think the future is here. So we have to fight for it. And thank you very much, of course, for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. David?
Yes, thank you. My final thought is that, yes, perhaps all this digitalization stuff in demolition seems a bit risky or a bit unnecessary, but I feel that it is more risky to being disrupted while sitting on the sidelines. So we need to consider all the options and find the niches in which they can be applied.
Okay. Thank you very much. We like disruption. You know that, David. We like to think outside the box. So, Alfonso, in your case, it's not that we don't love you, but you can wave. Can you try your mic, or it really doesn't work?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hello?
now it works. There you go.
Yeah. Well, first of all, apologize for the technical problems. Well, as final remarks, well, thank you, Sopet, for the presentation. And sorry, also, I think that there is still a long way to go, but there are also a lot of opportunities to go together in this path and be able to get to the market again with the construction and demolition waste.
Okay. Thank you. First, we have to find a new name for construction and demolition waste. We should call it construction.
Yeah, that's right.
Resources. That's the first one we should work on. So once again, on our side, a virtual applause, to all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you to our audience. Thank you for participating, for the Q&A, for the feedback that we received. These kind of webinars are done to share the knowledge. We will, if you send us some information about the projects, well, most of them are already on the EDA website. We will very gladly post them there. Thank you to the speakers to participate. And this is for today. Our next webinar, I can already tell you that it will continue to work on the topic. We're going to talk about the endless life of metals in construction. So that's going to be the next topic or the next webinar for the EDA. Thank you very much, everybody.